Welcome to the Book of Flynn. I am Reigna Flynn, and with me is the guy that impersonates Laszlo from What We Do in the Shadows so much that he is now saying the weekend in his regular vocabulary. It's Vinzer Flynn.
That's true, my darling. It's true. I did it recently and I didn't realize I said weekend.
And he was like, "Why are you laughing so hard?" Because I'm in tears, trying not to fall out of my chair, because he had absolutely no idea.
All right, so it's been a week or so since last Hal-Con. I had a great time. Thank you to everybody who bought one of my helmets or a print at my table or stopped by to visit. Yeah, I had a fantastic con. I was in just a happy mood the whole way through. Well, anxious and then happy, but yeah.
I was also anxious and happy, but for a slightly different reason. I got to meet Spike and Drusilla, aka James Marsters and Juliet Landau.
Once again, I cannot believe the timing of just everything. How I just watched that episode.
Yeah, it was very well timed. And it was funny because when I actually went for a photo op with them, you could do a combo with both of them. I walk in dressed as Buffy with Mr. Pointy that I carved out of styrofoam. And I walk in and James Marsters, who's been doing the exact same face for every photo all weekend.
I've been seeing them all week. The Billy Idol face. Yeah, I know what you mean now.
Yeah. And so I walk in and he just lights up and he goes, "Do you want to stake me?" And just puts on this face. And Juliet's just along for the ride. She's like, "I'll just look like I'm going to bite you on the other side." And I was like, "All right, Victor, just go and pretend you're trying to get my attention because I'm too focused on Spike to see Drusilla." And the absolute photo is chaos.
It is one of the best celebrity photos I've ever seen. You should put that on your Instagram or something if you haven't already, because it's amazing.
It's an absolute blast. Yeah, I put it on there a few days ago. At Courtney456 if you want to go see it. It was a really good moment, and I also had a good moment with each of them the day prior, getting them to sign the season 2 DVD.
Tell him what he wrote on your DVD. This all makes sense to me now because of where I am in watching Buffy.
So, and it'll just make it even funnier as time goes on, especially this season. James Marsters, I get them to sign season 2 because I generally get celebrities to sign season 6, but they're not in that one. So I get them to sign season 2, and he signs it, and then he's like, "I'm going to do something inappropriate." And he writes Pratt and then draws an arrow down to David Boreanaz. Oh my goodness.
But that wasn't the only cool autograph you got from a celebrity that weekend, so tell us about the other one.
Yeah, I also got an autograph from Oded Fair, and he was he was so interested in talking and learning about every single one of the people in his lineup. And his lineup went slow, but it was worth it when you got to that point. So I get up to the front and I'm talking to him, and he's asking me about what I do for a living. Like, that's what he wants to know. And he is drawing on the DVD as I'm talking. And he's just like, "I just wanted to put where I was on the DVD. I hope that's okay." And I got him to sign my DVD cover of The Mummy, which has a tiny little airplane down in the bottom corner for anybody who has the regular cover. And he drew himself on the wing of the plane and screaming across the entire cover.
He seemed like a right-on guy. He was out on the floor one of the days, too. It was funny because I had a great booth this year, and I was right next to Jenny with Scenes from the Multiverse, and we had Laughing Panda on the right side, and they were selling dice all weekend. They were super good neighbors. But across from us was the Neptune Theater. They were promoting... was it Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead at the Neptune Theater. They had these big cutouts of Mary and Pippin, Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan, and they look like the standees are meant to look like they're dead or they're hurt and they're hungover. And as people were moving them around taking pictures, Billy Boyd was facing me all weekend, and he kept getting a little bit closer. And I said to Jenny, "I'm getting freaked out, like hungover Billy Boyd's getting a little closer all the time." And then I think she told Jeremy Webb across the hallway, and he was suddenly moving them even closer to me. So I had to look at those guys all weekend.
Yeah. And Oded Fehr was actually took some time to stop at the Neptune booth, which I thought was really interesting. But for those who don't know what Oded has done, he's most notably known for Resident Evil, um, The Mummy as Ardeth Bay, and then he's also in Discovery, which I've never seen. However, that leads me into what we have been watching lately, which is the Orville.
Yeah.
Finally been watching that. We're on season 2 now, I believe.
Yep, we're a couple episodes into season 2. We finished season 1, and I watched it when it came out, but I mean, I remember all the basics about the characters, but I forgot all the details of the storyline, so I'm really enjoying going through it again. And it's a fucking great show. It makes you laugh. It will make you cry at times. It gets light, it gets dark. It does it all perfectly.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I find myself like, I really want to watch what Bortus is going to do today, or I really want to know what thing the Kelly Grayson, yeah, I really relate with her character, and it's not just because I know her, like the actress from Shield, which doesn't hurt because I loved her in that, but it's just really nice to like see her one-liners. She's really, really good at the delivery.
She's a great character.
Yeah, she's probably one of my favorites.
So now we've gotten to the point in watching Orville where you now know the Alara character, one of the original characters, has essentially been written out. She got Tasha Yard kind of thing. And I only spoiler I said was you will see her again. But yeah, she will be replaced on the Orville, but not by Patrick Warburton's dude bro. Thank God.
Oh my goodness, I'm really happy that it's not that. I'm really happy that it's not the guy who's in charge of the elevator music. So I'm looking
Dan?
forward to, yeah, looking forward to seeing it.
Awkward Dan.
Oh my gosh, Awkward Dan. Oh, he's an energy vampire. He's where they originate from, I'm sure. He's just some sort of evolved version.
We had a guy called Awkward Dan in our D&D group like fucking 25 years ago. He's one of those players who made my life an absolute nightmare. He'd like go door to door to kill people.
Oh my god.
I'm like, fuck off. He didn't last very long.
It's basically what Star Trek is, but realistically, without
Exactly.
so much mental growth. Like there's still some hints of that early 21st century thinking.
I love that they address all the little things that they never could in Next Generation. Like Mercer says, Solar, open a channel, and then he starts speaking immediately, and she goes, oh wait, I didn't do it yet. Like, give me a second. Like, that's just such a little thing, but that's what TNG nitpicker fans think about, me included.
And they also have a lot more like ship activities. Like it seems like there's a lot more recreation in this one.
Well, I would agree with that. Although I have to say that the Enterprise D's Next Generation recreational stuff was fucking top notch. They had painting and sculpting and fucking recitals.
But did they have that in like the mess hall? Because these guys have like a karaoke night. There's a lot more. Oh, okay. Because there's a lot more relaxing, I find.
Well, they have like, stiff recitals in the 10 forward where, Data's playing his violin perfectly or shit like that. But yeah, the Orville definitely felt a little more loose.
Yeah, a little more loosey goosey.
I love it. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it.
Yeah, it's been very good so far.
Speaking of space stuff,
it's time for
the Star Wars.
Season 2, Episode 3, Children of the Force. The quote is, "The first step to correcting a mistake is patience."
Oof, that's where a lot of us fall off the train.
That is a really, really slow road, for sure. So is this about Gloomy or Ahsoka? And for the reminders, I call Gloomy, this is Anakin Skywalker, except he's Gloomwalker because he constantly looks tired.
These nicknames are definitely going to make it into a casual conversation with someone we don't know. Anyway, Gloomwalker and General Wake and Bake. And they're going to be like, what the fuck?
And I never have a nickname for Ahsoka because she's just awesome. I still really like her.
That's true.
So we're on the What is the name of this blessed ship? I have the Retaliator, but I know it's not that.
That is a different ship. The Resolute.
Resolute. Okay, cool. Because for some reason I figured it out last time and did not type it in. I don't know why. So we start on the Resolute and they're docking. This is immediately after the last episode where you remember they were on a ship that was lent to Cad Bang, aka Cad Bane, which I find very
so
hard to say.
do. You've ruined it. Or made it better.
I have made it better.
It is better.
There's a shuttle that's immediately coming from the aftermath of that, where we saw the bounty hunter get taken out, Cad Bang, and one of the clone troopers ran onto the shuttle and then they made it off the ship before it exploded. We get back to the Resolute and they're like, how many guys have made it off? Just us. And I don't know how many were sent over because it was 3 battalions or something, but only 5 of them made it off and they're like, yeah.
Okay, well, according to the general real-world description, a battalion consists of 4 to 6 companies and can include up to 1,000 soldiers. And he took, what, 3 battalions? I mean, it's got to be wrong, but it does sound like a big body count.
Well, it was enough for them to be able to hop the walkers across, remember?
Right.
So I want to say like probably about, 20, 25, if I had to venture a guess. And 5 came back, including a very quiet Denal. And they're awfully cavalier. They're like, oh, just us made it. Anyways, let's go get some lunch. And they're awfully cavalier about all their brethren that perished in the Jedi's attempt to fix their mistake.
They're bred for that. The shinies.
I can't. And then as one of the clone troopers is kind of limping away, the clone troopers are noticing non-clone blood on the shuttle. As Gloomy goes to investigate, Ahsoka catches up to the injured Denal, who still has his helmet on, and turns out Denal's dead, it's Cad Bang, and he escapes again.
It's good with the disguises.
It was weird to see him without a hat.
Yeah, you see how much cyber work he's had done back there.
Yeah. And this wouldn't have happened if Gloomy had ever been reliable in the past, because Admiral Cleese, aka Admiral, I never remember his name, he wouldn't.
Yularen.
Yeah. He wouldn't have even questioned him. He would have been like, well, what happened since the last time we spoke? If he had just been like, okay, lock it down, and then ask, then he wouldn't have gotten away. I'm having a hard time not being mad at Cleese on this one. Because it's like, if he gives you a really bad command like that, real quick, just do it and then ask questions later. We cut over to the Jedi Council, and the Council's trying to figure out which of the thousands of children Cad Bang will go after. And they decide to consult the Force and then cue plot magic.
It's like reading a script in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Cad Bang is over in his ship and he's consulting with General Mills, aka Sid Vicious or something. Lord Sidious. I don't I'm really bad with names.
Sith Vicious.
Yeah.
I was in a band called Sith Vicious. Never mind.
How did he get his hat back? It wasn't on his head.
I assume he knocked over a cargo ship with like 1,000 in there, and he's like, "This is how I'm going to look now," and he put the hat on. Covers up his big fucking chrome dome.
Right? In this scene, you can actually hear his accent pretty good in the closing line of this scene. If you're ever listening for an accent, that's a really good one. We cut back over to forced meditation and plot magic scene, and they do a meditation consultation to consult the Force.
A meditation consultation.
There's no other way to describe it. They're like, I see a planet, and it's got stuff on it. This one's got water. Oh, nope, nothing to see.
I want my money back. This consultation.
as well as Naboon with a Gungan turret. I swear to God, if it's Jar Jar Binks, they're not even gonna bother. Over on Rodea, Master Bang, because he's disguising himself as a Jedi.
Not to be confused with Master Bates, who's a whole other thing.
Yeah, he's king of the debate club. Master Bang is convincing Mom to let the Jedi cult take her infant child. And meanwhile,
The Jedi do this.
but infant. She's like, oh,
Yeah.
so young. And I'm like,
They do
yep,
that.
the younger the better for indoctrination.
Fucking cult.
He tells the Jedi, he tells on himself by telling them that there's Jedi imposters kidnapping future younglings. And I was, right on the nose, don't you think? And then
So watch out for those.
he doesn't have a nose.
Oh,
Kenobi makes it onto Rodea and gets to the house to a confused mother that realizes she's been duped by the very person who told her that there were imposters roaming the galaxy. Maybe ask for a demonstration to make sure they're a Jedi next time.
imagine you want to take my kid? Huh? Let me see you lift this fucking loaf of bread. Come on.
Kenobi becomes Batman, rappels up to the building while Cad Bang becomes Iron Man and uses his foot thrusters to fly him up to the landing pad.
I actually hate these foot jetpack things. I hated them on Star-Lord too. I don't know. They don't seem like they would work very well. That's just me.
And he manages to escape again before Bat-Nobi catches up.
I guess they work though.
Yep. Over on Naboo, Gloomwalker and Ahsoka are being updated about the current situation. And, the family's been notified. The mom's freaking out. Ahsoka's going to go to the village, and Gloomwalker is staying behind for some reason. We get over to Janghua City, which is a Gungan city, which is really cool. This was really pretty.
I like the look of the city.
Cad Bang lands just outside the village and watches the Gungan mom put the baby down in the crib. And then this is where, in my head, Cad Bang becomes Santa. Because he sees you when you're sleeping and he knows when you're abandoned. Also, do Gungans not have windows? Like glass panes?
They definitely have favored towards this big clear orb type structure, which seems terrible if you had diarrhea or something. Hopefully they have, they turn dark mode or something. Maybe the Gungans don't have a thing about privacy. Who knows?
Maybe. Cad realizes that he's been duped when he goes over to the crib and sees that the baby is not the baby, it's a stuffy. And Ahsoka is not the child he was expecting. He tries to escape and Ahsoka hangs on like an ex who won't get the memo and takes him down.
I think Ahsoka's pretty pissed off with Bane at this point too, right?
And the scene answers a question that I actually had in the last episode. Did he rip off a part of her ceremonial beating? And the fact that he did, I don't really understand the motivations because all I'm getting from it is creepy. Like, this puts a creepy twist on Cad Bang, who I actually didn't like, but I at least respected because he was good at his job. But this just made me go, ugh.
Yeah, it goes from being this really cool cold-blooded bounty hunter guy to, oh, he's taking trophies off this kid and he's kidnapping kids. So it puts a little creepy into the Cad Bang here.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. But at least the Gungan child is safe. But what about the other two?
The Gungan kid was pretty adorable, I will admit.
Next time, we're in the interrogation room, and what follows is a scene that gives me more ick vibes about the Jedi. It makes me pretty much... if I walked in and saw this scene unfolding in front of me, I'd probably just drop the council and just abandon.
What, you mean this war crime they were committing?
Oh my gosh. Kenobi and less awesome Nick Fury is what I'm calling him for the entirety of this episode because I couldn't remember his name for a while. It comes up at some point when I remember it. They're interrogating Cad as to where the whereabouts of the children are, as well as the holocron. And Nick Fury points out that his fear of his employer outweighs his fear of the Jedi, and they're right. He shuts up. He's like, I've got nothing more to say. So they go out to consult in the hallway, and they come up with the worst plan ever to force him to talk, and forces in air quotes, because they're going to concentrate on his mind all at the same time, which might kill him, but whatevs.
I find it really ironic that a cult that is dedicated to kidnapping children and raising them is fucking over another person who kidnapped kids. It's like, no, none of you are in the right here at all.
It's just not a good look for anybody. No one's coming out. If this was a Reddit thing, it'd be like, you're all the asshole. Cad Bang, after one round, relents because he's like, please just never go in my head ever again. And he's like, I'm going to lead you to the children and the holocron. When they get to the hangar, Gloomwalker's like, hey, so the Chancellor's asking for an update. And Kenobi's essentially like, none ya business, which I think is really big talk considering they're using the Republican, nope, not the Republican, the Republic Army. Really hard not to see it this way right now. That they're using the Republic Army and all of the clones and killing off so many of them to fix an internal matter. So yeah,
It's true.
I'm pretty sure that the Chancellor, aka Sith Vicious, Sith Vicious?
That's the thing now.
Sith Vicious, perfect. I'm pretty sure that he's entitled to ask this question as it's his army. So on a rare note, I agree with Gloomwalker, and this also doesn't make the Jedi look any less sketchy.
Sith Vicious is like, how's that list of my potential army of Inquisitors coming? I'm going to need it soon.
Right? This conversation seemed backwards because usually Gloomy stamps his foot and Kenobi's the voice of reason. Kenobi and less awesome Nick Fury are heading to the holocron coordinates to find the children, and for some reason they're bringing Cad Bang. I don't understand. It's not like he could bargain his way there. I don't understand why they took him.
Should we leave him in jail? No, let's take him with us and give him a chance to escape again.
Just really... They're going to head to the holocron coordinates and find the children, which really seems like a two-team job, but okay. While Gloomy is left to brief Chancellor Creepy. And it seems weird that Gloomy and Ahsoka wouldn't be going to help find the children. It seems like a good job to split up, one for the hologram, one for the kids. Holocron, not hologram. Cad bangs along for the ride for some reason, and that he's leading them to the Outer Rim, which everybody's like, hey, it's a trap. And they're all like, yeah, we know. And then that's still happening.
Cad Bang's like, I'm here to boost the ratings.
Right? Gloomwalker and Ahsoka head over to Chancellor Creepy's office, and they are greeted by the Chancellor, who is shrouded in shadow, just a silhouette in the doorway, which I thought was very cool symbolism.
It's like a phantom menace or some shit.
Weird. I feel like they should call that something in a movie or whatever.
Great name for a movie.
Yeah. He greets Gloomwalker and Ahsoka, and basically it pats Ahsoka on the head like a good little youngling, and
Very
we're gonna go
dismissive.
off. Yeah, we're gonna go off for an adult conversation. Yeah, and the Chancellor is fishing for info because as soon as Gloomy says, I think it's somebody else, there's definitely another strategist behind the thing, and it's not Dooku. And Chancellor is starting to sweat under the collar a little bit because he knows how strong Anakin is, and he knows how good his instincts are, whether he realizes it all the time or not. Because keep in mind, Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, they very, very powerful creature within the Force. Yeah. It's so easy, the way that he's painted in this show, it's so easy to forget that. Because they don't really make him that big of a threat on this show at all.
we're used to Anakin running around and kicking ass and being a badass kind of thing, but it is important to remember how strong he is in the Force, and when he really flexes his Force muscles, it's really scary. I mean, hallway scene, right?
Yeah, I think, that was one of the examples. And the other one of the examples that stands out for me was when they had that cave-in in the hangar, and he just flicks all the rocks off of him like it's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
General Mills is over at Mustafar as a hologram in a holocron or whatever, bringing nightmares to baby Force users since whatever time it is, because I can't keep any time scales straight.
Sidious is like, build me the creepiest, scariest baby cribs you can.
Yeah, he wants to perform experiments on the children, and the point of the experiment is to weaponize the children into basically brainwashing them, and to be spies and stuff so that they can go in the Jedi in the future. Well, if they die, I've lost nothing.
You want to make an omelet, you gotta break some eggs.
Oh my gosh. We cut over to an asteroid field that reminds me of landing on Grimhex in Star Citizen. And they dock with an outpost hidden in the field and quickly realize there are no children here. Cad's like, no, there ain't no children here, but we got a holocron, and goes to collect it, but less awesome Nick Fury goes, nope, I don't trust you, and then walks towards the holocron himself and walks right into the trap. Really stepped in it this time, says Kenobi. The defense systems activate, and the Jedi are distracted with fighting off the lasers, allowing Cad to escape again. We're back on the Resolute. Yes, I got it this time. Gloomy and Ahsoka are doing some maintenance and grumbling about how they should have went with Windu. This is when I remembered his name in the episode. Ahsoka notices that there's a lot of volcanic ash. She must be a geology nerd. I love it. And R2 discovers that the fuel computer still has the usage logs, so they allow them to calculate where he's been. An old Jedi trick.
Star Wars CSI.
I'm not buying that. I'm sorry. They determined that Mustafar is worth looking into. So they head out to investigate in the Conair Hairdryer Express.
Oh, the return of the Twilight. I was thinking, Reigna's going to be so happy to see this ship.
I hate this ship. It makes no sense. Outpost on the Outer Rim, we've got Windon't and Kenobi. They manage to snag the holocron and escape from the laser guns, but Windon't is almost pulling a Gloomwalker and dropping his saber and almost loses it. What is it with these guys? Put on retractable cords or something.
Windon't pulls a Gloomwalker. You sound like you're speaking a secret language, and I'm here for it. But I understand it, so it's fun.
Yeah, it makes sense if you know, you know. We cut over back to Mustafar, and the droids inform General Mills, aka Sith Vicious, that there is a ship approaching, and he tells them to evacuate the kids and just allow the site to drop into the lava ocean. They're like, what? He's like, did I stutter? Kill the ship, and just leaves.
This could have been a UPS shuttle coming in. Someone's coming. Fuck it. Just dump everything into the molten lava. The kids, fuck them. Yep, go.
And the robots are like, should I tell them that I got takeout? Like, it's just...
It's skip the dishes. No, abort, evacuate. Melt everybody.
Ahsoka, Gloomy, and R2 disembark from their ship, and this planet is not passing the vibe check for Ahsoka. She wants off this planet now. And Gloomy says it's the dark side, and therefore it's the right place. And I'm like, oof. More plot magic happens as they're hear babies crying in the corridor, but they don't know where. And Ahsoka tunes into what I've now called the JPS, the Jedi Positioning System.
Accurate, I think.
Right? Yeah. And determines which corridor to go down. And after, the battle that precedes, where they're in this room that is dropping into the ocean while they're fighting these droids who are holding on to infants, is so nerve-wracking. Because I don't know. They might never mention these people again in the future. we don't know who these kids are, so I have no idea if they actually were going to make it. It's not like this was like baby someone important in the future, and it's like, okay, we know that person lives in the future. You had no idea.
Imagine being the boss reading that script they turn in. All right, we're in the 3rd episode of the 2nd season, and you're chucking some babies into lava. I know we wanted to go a little more serious this season, but Jesus, guys.
They managed to rescue the babies, thank God, and the droids drop into the lava ocean, just as Sith Vicious planned. And Gloomy's like, where is R2? And R2's like, I'm here for the comedic timing, just like Yoda. What up? And I have to say, the one that stole my heart through this entire episode was that Rodian kid. Oh my gosh, that thing had galaxies in its eyes. It was the cutest thing ever.
It was.
They go over to the Jedi Council, and Gloomy reports about the Mustafarian base, that they can't get anything from it because the whole thing dropped into the ocean. And Yoda is concerned. So Ahsoka's like, well, at least we still have Bane. And everybody's like, And it made me a little bit mad because if this situation were reversed, they would have torn a strip off of Ahsoka and Gloomy.
That's just it. Like, Kenobi and Windu fucked up and let him go, and who's going to give them a chewing out? Themselves? Not likely.
Yeah, it just really bugged me because since it was 2 members of the council, no problem.
I've said it a million times. I like Sam Jackson just fine, but I cannot stand the character Mace Windu. Don't like Mace.
I think this might be a typo, but I called Kenobi Kenobia.
Kenobia.
Kenobia. And Windon't are like, but we got the holocron, so yay!
The illegally obtained list of children is now back in the original cult holder's hands instead of this other cult.
Yeah, no more Jedi imposters taking children, just Jedi taking children, just as the universe should be. Dear God. Yoda's getting that feeling again that there's a darkness happening in the future with the Jedi, particularly the younglings. This is totally him sensing but not understanding Order 66.
Yeah.
He can sense it, but since the command stems from the dark side, shrouded it is.
Convenient it is.
Plot magic this episode is.
Everything else that wasn't clouded in the dark side. Yeah, well, we're going to get broken into tonight. Yeah, kids have been kidnapped to go to this planet.
Oh, P.S. Already here. Peace. He can use the JPS and his comedic timing and the sense of the Force to show when he's going to be showing up for tea, or to just literally come in and mic drop something and then leave. But he can't see anything from the dark side. So it means that his comedic timing is purely from a place of joy.
You gotta wonder if he beat himself up all those years in Dagobah thinking about how many times he was in the fucking room with Sidious and he didn't see it.
That's probably what aged him, honestly. He was probably supposed to live a lot longer than he did.
I saw an incredible painting just recently of sort of a Star Wars What If. I love it when people do these. One time, this one guy did one that was a rebel soldier in the hallway scene who it was called Lucky Shot, and he killed Darth Vader right then and there with a lucky shot. And stormtroopers around him holding their guns, and he was on his knees in shock at what he'd done. But I'm like, that's a great What If. So this What If was Yoda on Dagobah sitting by the edge of a swamp looking very tired, and Vader was behind him with his lightsaber out, and there were stormtroopers in the swamp holding up Luke's flight suit like they had just missed him. So this was another really cool Star Wars, what if Vader had found Yoda on Dagobah and then killed him there.
Yeah.
So, and it was, I don't know if it was the same artist or not, but I'll have to find out who it was, but they were both incredible shots and just really cool what ifs.
That would be amazing. What would be some other what ifs do you think that they could do? What if they had given Luke, what if they had swapped them?
Yeah, that's a great one.
What do you have for what ifs?
What if when Vader on Cloud City reached out to Luke and said, "I'm your father, join me," and Luke put his hand out and accepted it, and he joined his father, turned dark side, and together they overthrow the Emperor. Like that, instead of saying that's impossible, maybe he embraces his father in the dark side right then and there.
I like that.
The other one, of course, being the Emperor at the end of Jedi saying, "Kill your father and take my place." What if he had done that? Then Luke would have risen as like the next Lord Vader kind of thing.
Mm.
I had another one. Oh, the other one I thought of was, what if Han didn't come back and get Vader off Luke's tail before the first Death Star blew up? Then Luke probably would have been killed then and there. Death Star would have reigned supreme, the Age of Darkness forever.
Yeah, I really like to think about the storyline of what would have happened if they had swapped the twins' places at birth, because then you would have had a smarter than your average bear Leia on Tatooine, probably with a completely finished C-3PO.
I think Leia would have, I don't know, she would have been a force to be reckoned with no matter what, where she lived. Like, she would have risen to herself. I think if Luke had been raised on Alderaan, he probably would have been a spoiled rich kid right out in his racers all the time, something like that. He would have missed his calling as a Jedi completely. Probably would have been on Alderaan when it was destroyed, because I don't see him going, young Luke going into politics.
No.
Or, you never know, Luke. He wanted to be a pilot more than anything. He might have gone to the Imperial Academy. He could have been the best Imperial pilot ever. He might have joined them. Another what if.
Yep, that's true.
So what did we think of this episode?
I thought it was good in showing why the Empire seems a little bit more like it's leveling the playing field. It really, really put the Jedi into a spin of they're not all they're cracked up to be. I feel like this show purpose is to really show the demonizing of the Jedi Order. It by the end of it, like, even though the children absolutely horrible with Order 66, if they had just kept it at the adults, probably would have been a bit more on board, especially if they took out like all the influencing people of the the Mandalorian more creepy version of this is the way. Like, if they had given a different head to the Jedi Order, it might have changed, but not. I don't like the Jedi after this.
And the funny thing is, when these shows came out, there was probably not even the vaguest thought in anyone's mind about, oh, the Jedi are the good guys. It was all seen as it was meant to be presented, and it's only years later we're looking at it again, and we're seeing, wow, they're so condescending to Ahsoka, and like we're seeing all this stuff we didn't really see when we were younger. Yeah. Which is important to see, but yeah, I'm enjoying looking at. I mean, I've always thought the Jedi are like aristocratic fucking meddlers to begin with. I mean, some of them are pretty cool, but it's guys like Mace Windu who fucking ruin it for me. Just really arrogant and using no real authority, just thousands of years of tradition to look down at everybody and, I don't know, just get involved where they shouldn't.
This really underlines the importance of not mixing religion and government. No offense to countries that are currently doing that, south of Canada, but there really should be a separation of church and state, and that is really highlighted in this show. Like, what happens when the religious organization is just left unchecked and able to use military resources at its discretion.
I think Baylan Skoll said it best when asked if he missed a Jedi, and he took a moment. He went, I missed the idea of them, and I completely agree. I don't like the Jedi as they are just before the fall, but I like the idea of what they could have been.
Yeah, it's like the idea that we were fed when we were just watching the movies before, a lot of their darker stuff come to light, that they were just this wonderful group of shepherds that were there to help use the Force to help guide the universe to times of peace and to help restore balance.
Think about how Obi-Wan described them when we first saw Star Wars Episode 4, and saying how the Jedi Knights for 1,000 generations, and it just made them feel like these really cool, mysterious good guys, but there was no doubt that they were the good guys. And the Clone Wars has shown what a fucking gray universe it is. It's not black and white.
Yeah.
We're getting pretty deep on this, jeez. Well, anyway, I like this episode for the quick pacing. The story clipped along really good. And I mean, as greasy as a villain as Cad Bane is kidnapping kids and stuff, it showed how many tricks he's got and what a foe to be reckoned he is. What a foe he is to be reckoned with, even from the likes of Windu and Kenobi.
And he's And he's just as creepy. It really just leveled the playing field between the good guys and the bad guys in this one. There is no moral hierarchy here.
So that Nautilin kid from Glee Anselm, definitely Kit Fisto's illegitimate kid.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That definitely came out of the Hotbox Hotel. Da, 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 da.
All right, moving on to Buffy Season 2, Episode 3. And the title for this is just, unless it was a mistake, it says School Hard.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. And was that meant in my mind that I read that in like Moose from Riverdale? Duh, School Hard.
Yeah, school hard.
So the one-line synopsis for this talks about the introduction of Spike, and so I realized this is going to be a very important milestone episode of Buffy, because even in the 90s, when I was only peripherally aware of the Buffy show, I knew who Spike. Well, I knew that Spike was a vampire in that show. I mean, very distinctive looking for one.
Yes, and it's just in time for Hal-Con.
Yeah, we've been trying to get him here for years.
Yeah, well, I mean, and before, like if he had come before though, you wouldn't have really, I mean, maybe Torchwood or if you watched Caprica or whatever else he's been in, but this is like his one of his iconic roles for James Marsters and Juliet Landau. So it's really cool that kind of like I watched that Ahsoka episode just as it was happening. You're watching this just as they're coming into town.
It's true. If James Marsters had been here the previous years, I would have been like, oh, I would have been happy for you guys, but I would have been like, I don't know this guy. But now, he's going to be here in 2 weeks, and by then I'll be a fan.
Yes, this is a good time to watch it. The whole series, but this season is good to watch.
All right, let's jump right in. First opening scene is the principal's office. Principal Quark, who describes himself as judge, jury, and executioner in
Why is
relation to
this
the
man
students.
an educator? Who put him in charge of a school?
I got some questions about that we're going to get to. So he's got Buffy and this Sheila girl, I think her name is.
Yeah.
Sort of like which one's the more troublesome student? Apparently Sheila attacked a horticulture teacher with a trowel or pruning shears, as it turns out.
Yeah. Who is Buffy fighting at that school?
Fighting?
Well, he's like it's neck and neck when it comes to starting fights, and it's like, who is Buffy fighting at that school?
Oh, yeah, well, this ties into my questions about Principal Quark and him knowing more than we think he knows at first. But anyway, we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
Parent-teacher night is Thursday, so Quark puts Buffy and Sheila in charge of it in some sort of perverse, cruel, and unusual punishment. Do well or get expelled. That should be on that guy's desk.
Isn't there a school council for this sort of thing, or like a parent-teacher association, or what school administrator would put two delinquents in charge of something as important as the parent-teacher mixer?
Well, I was a delinquent and I was put in charge of the dances. I don't know.
Well, that's at least fun. Like, it would be really, really easy for delinquents to really want to screw up the parents and the teachers. The dance was at least for the students.
Do you remember having to paint shit in high school, like with those brushes and those art classroom paints, like banners and shit?
Nah, I was a drama kid.
Okay, I got stuck drawing stuff all the time, but I just remember painting with big fucking kid-like paintbrushes onto like brown butcher paper, making fucking banners.
I was not full of school spirit.
Nor I.
And my school was bigger. They had like art nerds for that type of thing. They didn't go to the drama kids for that stuff.
So I can tell how indifferent Sheila is by the way she chews her gum, which is fucking aggressively.
Yeah.
She has a boyfriend called Meat Pie, who I was disappointed that we only saw him the one time. I wanted to know more about Meat Pie. Right. And she was smoking at a 5th grade level.
Do you think that Meat Pie is his actual name? Or do you think that Meat Pie is like her cutesy name for him?
We may never know.
I'm going to go with that.
He had long blonde hair. I bet you drive to Camaro or something. He's like a pothead.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Did your school have a Sheila?
Yeah, I was friends with the Sheilas though. They liked me. I was in the Willow side of things with that, for sure.
We never had anybody that made that kind of trouble. Not for long, anyway. Not on a bring dangerous weapons to school level or anything like that.
I think she used the things that were around her. She was very resourceful, much like
Yeah,
Buffy.
pruning shears laying around. I never caused any pruning shear level trouble in high school, that's for sure.
No, I definitely never stabbed any of my teachers with any sort of implements whatsoever.
Oh, Buffy meets up with Willow and Xander says stupid things, and they basically insult his intelligence, which was good to see after what a dick he was last time.
That they just let go.
Yeah, they're like, you're a fucking idiot, and they just kind of leave him standing there.
And yeah, Jinx in this event like a boss. And also, who wears a long sleeve Hawaiian shirt?
I noticed to that shirt, I was like, I don't know what was going on with that shirt.
No, don't do it.
Speaking of fashion, the big moment arrives. Spikes introduces, the cool, heavy fucking music, the long coat, and I was like, 90s overdose. It's kind of into it though.
This is exactly why I have an obsession with well-fitted ground leather dusters.
Boy, that's a niche fucking demographic.
I love that jacket so much.
Spike is introduced, and he shows up looking like a vampire, and immediately my first impression is this guy, I don't give a fuck who knows it, and if you don't like it, I'll eat your face.
Yeah, pretty much.
Over at the vampire warehouse, as I'm calling it, now that I know it's not a rental.
That's funny because I actually called it The Scene Is Vampire Studio Apartment.
I might come up, if they hang out here for a while, I might come up
They
with
do.
new, it might be like Vampire Glue Factory or something next time.
Just keep calling it different things.
Oh yeah, I could do this all day.
Meanwhile, at the Santa's Toys R Us Reject District.
Meanwhile, in an Amazon warehouse.
Ruth.
So the master is dead, they need a new leader, but the Slayer is making the job a little undesirable.
Anointed One auditioning for a new dad.
Oh, it's such a touching sitcom when you come at it that way. So Saint Vigios, I might have not said that right, is approaching a time
Sounds
of
like
peak
a really bad cereal.
Oh, these Saint Vigios are stale, man. They're no good. They're sacrilegiously delicious. Moving on. Right. Anyway, that event, Saint Honey Nut Cheerios, is going to be a time of peak vampire power, and vampire Jonathan Frakes vows to kill Buffy. He looks like Jonathan Frakes is a vampire.
Oh, I'm at St. Honey Nut Cheerios. I'm still back there.
Spike enters like fucking. If this had been a Clone High episode, he would have kicked the door open. One frame animation.
I have his quote of how the first thing he says when he walks in.
Oh, what was it?
If every vampire who said he was at the crucifixion was actually there, it would have been like bloody Woodstock.
I seized on the Woodstock joke because that's what I got my notes talking about how he basically ate a pothead or an LSD user at Woodstock, and then he got fucked up, which was just like Nandor from Shadows. So
I drank the drug blood.
Spike has killed a few Slayers, and he seems quite proud of it, so he's obviously going to be a pretty dangerous adversary. Enter Drusilla in what appears to be a thrift store wedding dress, and she's either super stoned or completely fucking psychotically broken.
She is creeping out the Anointed One.
Who Spike refers to as the annoying one, and I was like, why the fuck didn't I think of that?
That was literally, I've been dying to call him that, but I knew that Spike eventually calls him that, so I was like, his nickname comes in the next episode, don't worry.
Your slow burn has paid off, because it hit.
Yeah.
These are two people that would definitely have sex in front of their friends at a party and not give a fuck. They give up that level of nuts.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Spike, straightforward guy, I'll give him that. He's just like, I'll kill the Slayer. And he knows what he's
I'll
there to
be
do.
your new daddy.
Buffy's house, Joyce. I remember her name now, because I'm definitely going to remember her name after this episode, which we'll get to.
Right? However, they haven't set it up to this point. When she introduced herself to Principal Quark later on, that's actually the first time in the series we get to learn her name.
Is it really? That's why I didn't remember it, because it wasn't there?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Well, that was fun. Anyway, Joyce says to Buffy, what do you think your teachers are going to tell me about you? And sweat bullets.
I felt Buffy's anxiety in this scene. Also, side note about the conversation they had earlier. Willow knows a lot about Sheila. Is it like a small town thing, or is it weird that she would know that much about someone?
Maybe she makes it her business to know with her new job as the go-to knowledge person in the gang. But yeah, she had some fun facts on the spot.
Yeah, a lot of those.
A good line in the scene, Buffy's stressed and her mom was waiting to get a job, and in her bedside table or whatever is a holy water and brass knuckles, and she says, I got a job. Yeah, back at school in that lounge, which you promised that we were going to see a lot of, but it's a good space. It's a good school background, I guess. Luckily I didn't see that terrible mural this time.
Maybe they painted over the mural or something.
It's already not trending while the audience lose it. Oh no, you told me it's there, so fuck. Anyway, Buffy's got problems. She's got to cram French, do all this parent-teacher stuff, kill vampires, and be at the Bronze in case Angel shows up. You remember this shit in high school? You go somewhere hoping someone would show up.
No.
I really don't either, but I guess that's what they did. That's what they did at the time.
No, I didn't care.
I guess I was adjacent to that. I'd be with a friend, and will they be trying to go somewhere to meet a girl?
True. Yes, I have done that. Go to the dollar store hoping that your crush goes to the dollar store as well. Yeah, it was good times.
You know, if the Flinn conspiracy hadn't worked out, if you had done that, you would eventually caught me. I'd go to the dollar store for something to do when I was single.
Today, we learned that Reigna has friends who like to go to the dollar store to pick up their crushes.
We see a little exchange with Jenny and Giles, and as soon as that thought entered my head, I was thinking, this fall on NBC, Jenny and Giles is like a spin-off rom-com with those two living together.
I would have watched the crap out of that.
I know, right? Didn't sound like a bad idea. So Calendar has discovered the reference to Saint Vigi's, or whatever the fuck it is. It's imminent this weekend. What are you laughing at?
Nothing.
Giles leans on the paint. Of course he does. Willow and Xander want to help, whittling stakes, etc. Principal Quark shows up. He says, you're not helping, are you? And Willow says, no, we're hindering. I love that. Principal Quark has a line here. I feel an expulsion coming on.
I don't get why Buffy's working so hard to make it look like Sheila's doing work too. Because I thought that the whole point of this exercise is that at the end, one of them's probably getting expelled. So I know it isn't in Buffy's character to throw Sheila under the bus, but why is she working so hard to make him think that she's actually doing stuff?
Sheila comes in looking like she's fucking drunk, and Buffy's still trying to cover for her.
Right? Like, she's like the captain and the first officer in the episode of Orville we just watched, where they're like, can you turn down the illumination on that screen, please?
But Sheila, for what it's worth, thinks Buffy's cool because she burns shit down. So they're not like at each other's throats over this. They you know, other than the threat of the expulsion, they seem to get along okay. You know?
Yeah, Sheila might have like a wrong sense of priorities and some impulse control issues, but honestly, she doesn't seem too bad. She just doesn't have great role models. I bet if she had different parents, she probably like would have grown up like fine.
She was the best girl around. What about the pruning shear incident? What pruning shear incident? So we go to the Bronze. I was gonna make a joke about doing homework at the Bronze, but we once made D&D characters at a pub, so I was like, I'll just shut my face. That is weird, though.
Are you speaking French incorrectly while trying to study at a dance bar? I don't know.
Definitely not. Buffy's French translation: the cow should touch from Thursday.
And she said it incorrectly, but she's having age appropriate priorities at least.
I did like her line, "Je stink." Xander's out there dancing in his 90s sweater, so you know he's fucking sweating up a storm. He's doing the fucking Carlton. Did you notice that he was dancing?
I didn't, because I was more like, why are these three dancing together? Would the stench of the first episode not still be causing some leftover embarrassment at this point? Like,
Xander was chasing that high.
ugh.
So Spike is like right there. He was like, he didn't know Buffy was the Slayer at first, but he could have ended the whole series with a shotgun right then and there. just wanted to note that.
Yeah, but he wants to watch her.
Yeah, he's quite clever actually. I've been pretty impressed with him as a villain so far already.
Yeah.
And he flushes her out with a well placed. Oh, did you hear?
Well, Sandra has to go through her bag, and it contains a steak, a tampon, and a yo-yo.
Oh man, I must have been making a note. I noticed the yo-yo, but not the tampon.
Yeah,
that's great.
because that's the thing he like flicks through the air when he picks it
Oh,
up and realizes
right.
what it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
and he flips
total
out,
guy
and I'm just like,
reaction.
of course, because guys touching clean tampons. Ah,
And at that age, you're lucky if they know what it is.
he did know. I'll give him credit for that. He knew what that was. He probably was like, oh, look at that. That's definitely not some pixie sticks.
Xander would definitely go out to buy tampons for a friend. He would just make an idiot of himself at the cashier. That's all.
Oh, it's true. He'd be like announcing it. What do I get, Jumbo?
That'd be a Chandler Bing level overshare that would spiral out of control very quickly.
Those characters are they have a lot in common, especially with Chandler early on. I find that Chandler kind of matures and grows, but this is essentially the 16, 17-year-old version of him, so
I could see that. Yeah.
yeah. But with that being said, Chandler Bing is still one of the only redeeming characters on Friends.
Oh, that's a
Monica
whole
is
debate
also
there.
right. Monica is great. Phoebe depends on the day, and Joey's cute but very problematic. And then the other two, I like the actors' utmost appreciation. The characters were atrociously toxic to each other.
I'm team Heckles myself. God rest his soul.
That's just Chandler Bing at the end of the line. We've got the whole line here.
That's gonna be me, an old man at his door telling people you owe me a waffle.
But with better hair. As in, you have better hair, not Mr. Hackles. Spike finishes up the scene with your favorite thing, the slow clap.
Oh God, I hate the slow clap. So when the vampire that's attacking the innocent victim in the alleyway, they save her. That's what draws them into the alleyway. Very clean alleyway, by the way.
Yeah.
When they run in to grab her, Xander does this funny little two-step with his feet, like a little panicked move. Like, go back and watch it; it's funny. And then he kind of gets himself set up, but it's just this funny little two-step. And I was like, oh, that's embarrassing. So Vampire Frakes gets dusted, and Spike reveals himself, and Courtney's just laughing. I heard her mouth, Vampire Frakes. He's like, I'll see you on Saturday. And she's like, what happens on Saturday? He's like, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, this guy doesn't fuck around. I got to give him that. I don't know if it's the same alley or a different alley, but Sheila is in an alley with two scumbags who quickly get plucked out, and Spike appears, and Sheila is, and I put this in my notes, is DTF. Ends up getting grabbed to be a snack for Drusilla.
She is at the Shark Tank, her favorite bar. It was noted earlier in the episode. So this is a different alley, down closer to the docks, because apparently
Wrong side of
Sunnydale
town.
has docks. Yes. Yeah.
It's gonna be like Springfield from The Simpsons, isn't it?
This place will have you questioning
Well, it's going to
Some
have
of
a
the things
national
we got going on.
forest, mountains, quick access to a desert, a waterfront, a Grand Canyon. It's going to be like Springfield, I know it. And a Hellmouth.
Wow.
Courtney's got his face like the memes are going around, like the calculations. She's... All right, the gang is at the library and they're studying to prepare for
I have a
Saint
fun
Fruit
fact
Loops.
about the fish tank. Sorry, I have a fun fact about the fish tank.
The shark tank or fish tank?
So Sheila goes on and on about how big she is about a Cadillac. And it's funny because the vehicle that Spike was supposed to be driving was supposed to be a Cadillac. But it ended up being a DeSoto Sportsman. I don't know what that is, but I guess that's what he drove in. But it was supposed to be a Cadillac. So I thought it weird that they actually didn't end up saying, like, Spike's like, well, I got a Cad. And then just kind of moved on. But I guess it's because they couldn't get his Cadillac. Wasn't in the budget. Too busy lighting vampires on fire, I guess.
All right, so as they're studying up for St. Vigius, Angel sidles in. He knows who Spike is. He says Spike won't stop till everyone in his path is dead. Willow begins to do the math on Angel's dating over 400 years and then reads the room, distracts everyone by asking, why do they call it a mace, which is, of course, sitting on the table.
Just in case, Principal Quark walks in. Just got that mace out laying in the open.
Angel sidles back out without answering any more questions. He's like, no more questions, and he just leaves.
He Batmans his way out of there.
Yeah, he's going to do that a lot, isn't he? You're making faces.
They make mention of it later. They actually make fun of it. It's funny.
Next location is creepy bedroom where Drusilla is playing with her creepy dolls.
This is set up in the higher room in the Vampire Studio warehouse.
Oh, it's the loft, absolutely.
Yep.
She says she misses Prague despite apparently nearly dying to a mob there. The Hellmouth will restore her, so I'm already curious to what happened to put her in whatever state she's in, but Spike says the Hellmouth will heal her up. By the way, here's Sheila for a snack.
Somehow this show did not make me have a fear of porcelain dolls. Because I have a couple of them.
I think it installed one in me. Back at the library, they're doing things like whittling steaks and getting ready. Meanwhile, Buffy's cutting up a veggie tray with a machete. I thought that was a nice little touch.
Yeah.
And Cordelia's helping. Well, helping's in quotations, but she's there.
Why?
Yeah, she's a team player. She's just, she's just Cordelia.
How did she find out about this?
Nah, loose lips. They know they can trust her. They don't have to watch what they say around her. I tell you, she's addicted to the action. She comes around.
Does anyone remember when Saturday night meant date night? You sure don't.
She has a leg wax.
Solid exchange between Xander and Cordelia.
In the lounge, Willow samples Buffy's lemonade and just made the goo face.
Kudos to Buffy's mom instincts regarding Cordy and Xander about to sample the food. As soon as she leaves the room in the library, they go to get the food and she goes back and she's just like, nope, as they're about to put the peppers in their mouth.
I don't know anybody can eat that stuff. Y'all crazy.
Red peppers are good.
And it's time for Operation Keep Joyce Away from Principal Quark, which Buffy goes to great lengths to do, including spilling the lemonade on his crotch.
Go and telling her mom to go check out the boiler room.
Cordelia in this scene basically goes to Buffy. You look like shit.
Yep, that's it.
In her own way.
And then Willow, because Buffy's like having so many issues about, I don't know if I'm skipping ahead or whatnot.
Doesn't matter.
But when Cordelia's like, oh man, you're going to be grounded forever, all that sort of stuff. And Willow's energy about, hey, have some lemonade is the same energy as Deliver when she tricked Cordy and Harmony into deleting their entire computer program in the second episode, the first season.
Willow's got a little nasty streak there.
Yeah.
So when Joyce inevitably does meet Principal Quark. They don't shake. Quark doesn't shake hands. He's like kind of rude. And they go have a chat in the office, which seems to make Joyce quite angry, and she tells Buffy, "Get in the car."
But it's unreal because I mean Willow had a point. Buffy worked really, really hard to make that a super nice night, probably for free, because Quark didn't give her a budget. So she paid for this with what money, what job, and he's still like, by the way, she sucks.
Right. And it looked nice. Lemonade was terrible, but the signs looked nice. They did a good job.
Too bad we didn't get to see Cordelia's face when she tried the lemonade.
Oh, man, that would have been good. Okay, at the library, Giles is researching spikes. So there's a reference to railroad spikes. This is how he got his name.
Yep. They've relaxed Giles a little bit from season 1, you'll notice. Like, he's got his sleeves rolled up. He's a little bit more cash, and he's also throwing in a few more one-liners this season. I'm really enjoying that they're livening him up a little bit.
Well, he's got a girlfriend that's making him happy, so. Spike has killed 2 Slayers in the last century, but he's only about 200 years old, so in relative power comparison, Angel would be much stronger.
Only by 40 years.
40?
Angel is 241.
Sorry, yeah, my bad. For some reason, I had Angel's numbers 400.
420. I don't know why you would think that.
Okay, so he's not much older, but no. I always go by, I can't help it, I use that Anne Rice power scale about with years how old they are. So Lestat was like 200, and he was a special case, but 200 was pretty powerful, but 400 and 700, that was really powerful.
Well, if you think about it, if you remember Darla in season 1, Angel's sire, she was quite powerful and she was quite a menace. And she was older than Angelus, obviously, because she created him. So there's definitely a power dynamic thing there. They do that a couple times. They did that with the Master, and they do that a couple other times where it's like the older, the more stronger they are. Plus, if they've survived that long, then they have some brain cells in there for self-preservation as well. So that obviously doesn't help.
This is the part that was weird to me. It looks like the night's wrapping up, and Quark goes and turns all the lights off, and then as soon as he does, the fucking monster squad leaps through the windows. It almost felt like Quark set it up for them. Like, what the fuck's going on there? Is that just weird timing?
Yeah, it's weird timing. But I really don't like Quark's energy in this moment. This was a moment that really made me dislike him. And I feel like this is actually the second episode that I saw my first time through, because I think I missed some assembly required. I think I was still trying to figure out what the show was, and I got the night wrong, and then I got it right that time. But because I remember immediately hating him as like a 9-year-old person. Like, screw any educator that takes kids and gets joy out of seeing kids get into trouble, especially when they're doing your job. And yeah, I just didn't really like that. But yeah, he just turns off. He's like, all right, time to go. Turns off the lights. He doesn't even let everybody exit. People are still in the room.
So Spike says he couldn't wait, so they're attacking now. Fuck Saint Honey Nut Cheerios Day. So yeah, it's just kind of vampire pandemonium in the school here. The group gets broken up and chased in different directions. Willow and Cordelia get chased into a broom closet, and Willow totally saves her life by, smashing a vampire with a fucking busted Winston Churchill or some shit.
Yeah.
But this is really interesting because Buffy takes charge of the situation, and everybody, including Principal Quark, listens to her, and they don't put up much of a fight, and it's more than ever she is displaying her slayerness in front of the last people in the show you think would witness that, principal and parent.
Yeah, she's got daughter, student, and slayer all merging, all 3 parts of her life merging in one room, and she's got to somehow still fight off the vampires without displaying her full use of powers. So kudos to her using the chair to fight back, like just throwing the chair and making it look like the chair just took them out instead of kicking butt. Because if she started laying into him with a roundhouse, her mom would have had some questions.
It was a very fun scene for me because it was like one of those moments like, oh my god, are we gonna find out Bruce Wayne's Batman kind of thing? But he just was right up to the line. But it was really good though. I enjoyed the edge of my seatedness to that part of it.
Again, if you look at this through the vein that the Prophecy Girls do, shout out to them, about where Joyce is a stoner, it makes a lot of her behavior make way more sense. Hashtag stoner Joyce.
Now that we know her fucking name.
Right? Yeah.
Principal Quark thinks the weird faces on the vampires are from doing PCP.
Gangs on PCP. Okay. Was PCP that big in the 90s? I do remember hearing about it more than I do now. I hear about fentanyl now, but I'm also in the pharmacy world, so.
My attorney did PCP in a bathroom stall at a rave and he fucking passed out and woke up. Wow.
He's
still alive. Nice guy.
Good for him. So back to the gangs on PCP.
No more questions. Spike's trying to call Buffy out. He's, again, being very direct. Giles in the library, he's like, I gotta get out there and help Buffy. I'm the Watcher, god damn it. Like, he's ready to jump into the fight, whereas once, not so much. The vampires have cut the phone lines, and I'm like, who the fuck are you gonna call? Batman? Like, Buffy's already here. But Xander slips out of apparently a secret trap door in the stacks to go get Angel.
Yeah, there's a back door, it's like an outside access to the building. It's weird. Library has its own, I guess it's for like emergency exit purposes.
Is that the first time we've seen it?
Yes.
The stacks are going to be the secret that keeps on giving. I can just tell.
Yeah.
We're going to find out Giles has got a cot back there. I know it. Buffy's plan is basically just I think she gets into the ducks at this point and crawls around like Die Hard. She's like, I'm going to take them out one at a time kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, I can get behind this little Die Hard action. In the science lab room where most of them are, Quark and Joyce, one of the teachers, he tries to escape out the window, and Quark and Joyce kind of clash a little bit here. Butt heads. Vampires are trying to get in. This is where it kind of picked up a kind of a cool 80s high school level horror movie vibe where they're all, they're trapped and the vampires are trying to get in, kind of Lost Boys feel. So that was kind of fun for the 10-year-old 80s kid to be like vampire scary movies.
Yeah, I really like the back and forth that Quark and Joyce have in the scene, because she's just giving it to him and he's just like, wow, I can see where her daughter gets it from. She's like, and?
So the guy tries to go out the window and he gets fucking immediately eaten. And I'm like, wow, they're in a real pickle here. Spike hears Buffy crawling around the ducts like Die Hard, and they start jamming poles into the ceiling. So Angel shows up, and Joyce almost through the hole in the door sees Buffy stake a vampire, but the angle was wrong. I was like, oh, that's again at that moment where she almost saw it.
Well, remember, this is a weird scene that gets a very momentary callback. It's I just remember that they're talking to each other through a hole in the wall.
Okay.
Continue.
So Spike and Angel reunite like they're old buddies, and Angel's he's got fucking Xander in a headlock. He just kind of keeps him there for the whole conversation. Offers them Spike a bite to kind of draw him out. Again, this speaks to Angel's past, where he was not a good guy, because Spike's like, oh, this tormented, anguished guy, that's an act, right? Like, he's expecting Angel to be totally evil. But he's not fooled at all.
You are my sire, my Yoda.
Yeah, I made note of the Yoda thing for sure. So that in this vampire genre means that Angel created Spike. Okay. Also, Sheila shows up. I was like, wait, oh fuck. They didn't eat her, they turned her. Buffy sneaks up on another vampire, but Sheila, who posed as help, of course, now raises up an axe. In the fight, the axe gets swung into a poster of a guy who's missing a leg, and I was like, that's so campy, but I loved it.
Oh god, I missed that completely.
Sheila runs off. Buffy gets all the people/cattle to safety. But that felt fitting to write in my notes. So Spike isn't fooled by Angel's ruse, and he punches Angel in the face. You were my Yoda. And Buffy's standing right there, so I'm like, how much of that did she hear? So now she knows that Angel's connected to this guy trying to kill her. Buffy versus Spike. They agree to no weapons. He says, it won't hurt a bit. She says, no, it's going to hurt a lot. Outside, Xander proves again he cannot fight while Angel fights them off. Spike gets the upper hand on Buffy. And then, this was like a WWF moment in the 80s. Joyce out of nowhere with an axe to the fucking head. I was like, that's great.
The point where she's hiding out through those secret magical room of requirement stacks, and she looks back with a bad feeling. A lot of people would say that this is plot magic, where she's like, oh, I know something's going to happen. I have to go back. No, this is mom. This is 100% mom instinct. Yep, this is real. She is multiverse Mrs. Weasley.
Anyway, axe to the head, even with the flat of it, was awesome. That was a play of the game for the whole fucking episode right there.
Yep.
And Spike retreats. He runs off.
Which I find weird, because it's like, it's a Slayer and her mom and an axe. Like, where do you really think that you can't win that if you can't bag a Slayer? Like, if you can get 2 Slayers, you could probably get, you know.
He had Buffy on the ropes. All he had to do was kill her mom real quick, grab that axe, game over.
Yep. But glad she didn't. Glad he didn't. We like Stoner Joyce.
And the aftermath outside the school, Principal Quark's talking to the cop Bob, and it sounds like they know something's going on in this town. It sounds like Quark Snyder's known the whole time. So he's become much more interesting all of a sudden. He reminds us that Jenny and Giles are still together, just in case anyone was wondering. A little bit of a weird bonding moment with Angel and Xander in the aftermath, and he asked about the Syra thing. So yeah, Angel definitely made Spike. Joyce is pretty proud of Buffy, and fuck what Snyder says. I thought that was a good moment. Joyce, super cool. Super cool.
Yep. It was a good parenting moment.
Yeah.
And it's total goal with parenting right now. I think that she's an amazing mom, and it's also amazing as a mom right now to watch the person your child's turning into when they don't think you're watching. Because you can see them growing up. You can see, okay, I've given them all of the tools, and you can see them actually applying them to the world and being good to themselves and good to people around them. And it's a very rewarding moment.
Well, I met Victor when he was 6, and now it's 6 years later, and I've seen him apply the things you've taught him since he was 6. And he's a better person than most because of the way he does that.
He has a good stepdad role model too. Because who better to teach him how to be a Mandalorian when he has to apply himself to the world?
Go to commercial!
Not yet. We still have to talk about the closet scene.
Yes. Yeah, it
Yes.
was the cop car pulls away, and it's just like, everything's back to normal. There's not even a mess at the front of the school.
No. Window's already been replaced.
Everyone just plumb forgot about Willow and Cordelia in the closet, and that killed me. I love that part.
Well, I always forget about this scene, so I'm like, oh, that was a cute episode. And then we cut back to, you just hear Cordelia talking over the flashback to the school, and I'm like, do these police know how to clear a building?
Guess not. You think you'd hear a couple girls in the closet muttering that in the silence?
Praying to the powers that be that they can get some aspirin.
Over at the vampire warehouse, Spike is sort of licking his wounds, and Drusilla comforts him. What's he say? Slayer with family and friends. That wasn't in the brochure. This is where Spike calls the Anointed One the Annoying One, which I loved.
Yep.
And he seems to bend a knee to the Annoying One, and he kind of gets chewed out by vampire Benedict Cumberbatch, but then he laughs it off, grabs the kid, throws him in a cage, and I was like, oh dear. But then he lifts him up into the light and destroys him. Didn't see that coming.
They had to, unfortunately, for the production. The whole point of the Anointed One was they were actually going to make him the big bad of season 2. However, the actor started going through puberty, and you can't have a vampire child age, so they needed to swap out something partway through. So they were going to keep it. And you'll notice if you go back and watch, they actually had to do some movie magic makeup on him to make him appear younger. They had to alter his voice because he was going through it fast. That's why they had him sitting down so you couldn't see the height. And they didn't have super clear lighting. If you watch it on the DVDs, it's much more indistinct from what you can see on the Disney's.
Wow, the untold fate of the annoying one.
Yeah, he went through puberty and lost his career. Like, how rude is that?
Well, this leads right into my summary of this episode, which is, yes, I very much liked it, but it posed some interesting questions. Chief among them, does Quark know what's going on around? And, of course, Angel and Spike's connection and whatever happened to Drusilla that made her so fucking weird. But here's the big thing, is the new additions are interesting, and I'm not sure if I like them as a fan yet, but my initial impression is that they're going to be a lot of fun, and I bet they'll grow on me, because some of the other characters didn't impress me at first, and then they've grown on me. Angel being one for those for sure. But it's fresh blood, no pun intended, that came in at a good time, because even if this kid hadn't been aging up, the Master Anointing One stuff would have started to feel draggy. It would have gotten too boring and draggy. Like, we're still doing this. So this is now a fresh slate with a couple of fucking interesting wild cards. Yeah. And I don't know what's going to happen next. So now this has hooked me into the show even more. So there you go. Liked it.
Yeah. Joss Whedon wasn't expecting, because you know that Spike, obviously, he sticks around for a good portion of the show, just from your osmosis of it over the decades. But he wasn't supposed to. He was supposed to be like a few off episode, just kind of like around for the story arc kind of thing, and then he was supposed to go, but he was too popular, and Joss hated it.
That just makes it more I like him.
So as you'll see going through the series, you can see Joss taking his anger out on this character. Yeah.
See, that's how it happens, though. The characters you just meet for one shot, and this happens in D&D all the time, then they catch on. And, like, I mean, I had an NPC that I'm making a whole graphic novel about right now, and that's where the best characters come from when you don't expect it.
Yeah, exactly.
Spike's last line of this episode after destroying the annoying one is like, let's go see what's on TV. Doesn't even sweep him up.
He just lets him be dust. Basically they just inhale him, even though they don't have breath. And
don't even get me started on that.
It's not going to get better. I mean, we already had this argument at the end of Prophecy Girls where he would have been the better source of oxygen.
I just try to imagine a vampire trying to intimidate you, but he can't talk, and he's like...
If he can move air into his lungs, just because he can't convert it to carbon dioxide does not mean that there's still not force. That's how CPR works. It isn't the oxygen. And he would have been a better source because Xander used all his carbon dioxide. Whatever.
The podcast that answers the questions that need answering. Good night, everybody.
No.